Alongside the news that Wheel of Time was doing well, according to Amazon, again, asterisk supply, also came news that Amazon was in the process of dropping a major bag to adapt the Mass Effect video game series into a television series. Wheel of Time, the forthcoming Lord of the Rings, obviously that's fantasy. Mass Effect is, of course, science fiction in space. And also one of the most critically uh, well received video game series of the last 10, 20 years. Mass Effect 2 in particular is my favorite video game of all time. So this is a very appealing prospect to me, appealing prospect to I think a lot of people, just because the appeal, the enduring quality of Mass Effect, in theory, could translate very well to a series. Amazon knows a little bit about making a space show because they, of course, picked up and continued The Expanse after Sci Fi wanted to get rid of it. Um, and they already know what it's like to spend a lot of money on IP, of course, with Lord of the Rings and Wheel of Time. Now, of course, the question, the continuing thought everyone will have, of course, is that video game adaptations are not the strongest from a critical standpoint when we look at history, right? And if reception to the upcoming Uncharted film with Tom Holland is any indication, that'll probably continue in the short term. But still, the Mass Effect show, much like even a Harry Potter show at HBO Max, just like the prospect, the idea of it is just really appealing if, of course, it's done right and with care.
So, as you think about this, I mean, I'm not as big of a video game person as you are, and knowing a lot of the issues that have come from trying to adapt video games into movies specifically, television, we have a little bit, I think, less of a, uh, I don't know, history with. So,
It's true.
do you feel like Mass Effect is the type of show that is easily adaptable, like to given the premise and the storyline?
Yeah, it's awfully funny to think about that too, because a big thing about those games, series of RPGs, is that your choices affect the future storytelling, your player choices, and because of that, the main character, Commander Shepard, can be a bit of a different character depending on how you play the character. Some of that's low service level, male or female, but other than that, it's like you can be a good guy, you can be a bad guy, you can go back and forth depending on how you want to do it. Uh, Obviously, they would have to decide how they want to treat our central character when making any kind of scripted show. That's obvious. But I think the overwhelming appeal of Mass Effect is broadly is that it was an original science fiction world that was just really engrossing, incredible world building, very vast, and it was the nothing had brought me back to the feeling of Star Wars the way Mass Effect did when I first played it. And I think that, of course, is the appeal. If you really invest and think about trying to make the Mass Effect world into a show, I think that could suck people in. And you could probably take some liberties with the story. To me, I would be more rooting for just the world to be adapted in a meaningful way. And I mean, again, that'll take money, right? There's all these uh, really appealing layered alien species in Mass Effect, and they all and like and how they and the politics and everything. It's all very detailed. There's a lot of lore there, meaning there's a lot to potentially adapt. I think they just have to really commit to it. So obviously, this is before they haven't even closed the deal yet. So we're so far away from writers being attached, let alone casting. So um, doesn't mean it's even going to happen. But someone with the funds to pull it off, like Amazon, is probably one of the better people in theory. Hopefully they pick someone who likes the source material to try and tackle the script, tackle the development, because I'm sure it'll be a long development too. But just the idea of it's very, very appealing.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly seems like it's at the least a few years away from actually being made. But, just kind of speculating, because this is what we do when we hear news like this and just kind of dreaming. Do you have anyone in mind that you would want to be cast as the lead as Commander Shepard? If
Yeah,
well, you give me one male and one female.
yeah, that's a great question too. And I have a feeling they'd probably do FemShep, which
Mm.
is, the default on the marketing was often the male shepherd, but FemShep was very popular with players as well. That's a great question. Obviously, you're probably going to pick someone pretty new, pretty in vogue, right? Man, someone with action chops. You could pick anyone, man. I could see Florence Pugh crushing this shit if she found a way into her
Ooh,
schedule. I don't know
we're
if
gonna be
she's
talking
ready to
about
go
her in a
back to
minute.
TV after Little Drummer Girl, but um, she comes to mind. Casting all the aliens would probably be a bit more challenging too, because a lot of them are really layered characters that you would need like really good makeup and mocap and everything. So that would probably take a lot of planning. But yeah, being a male shepherd, I don't know. Let's just go back to who we talked about for James Bond. Pick anyone, honestly. Shepard's not the most emotive guy in his male iteration too, so you could take some liberties to switch it up a little bit.
Well, why don't I throw a name out here for you? Someone that we've seen have some action chops. Elizabeth Debicki. How
Mm,
would you feel if she were to be cast as
interesting.
Commander Shep? She's a little
Yeah,
more reserved in her
yeah,
her acting approach.
yeah. No, that's not bad. That's not bad. She's very tall. I wonder if that would factor into
That's true.
having her be the lead of an action. So I don't know. Um, yeah, no. I mean, I'm a huge fan of hers. Basically, anyone I'm a fan of, I feel like they could pull it off.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm trying to think of any like males come to mind. Just yeah, I mean, anyone in the Bond shortlist could handle this, of course.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see where it goes with this. Only knowing Mass Effect from the I think the size of the franchise and like obviously I think the critical reception is pretty well known even for people who haven't played. It's exciting because I think while fantasy and I know I was mis genreing Wheel of Time earlier. Fantasy is not necessarily always my favorite genre. I'm a little bit more willing to give sci-fi a shot. So definitely
Yeah.
interested to see where this goes.